This is the compression video for the Ascension Protege portable wheelchair lift. From time to time, it may be necessary to move your lift through a narrow doorway. The lift is designed to be able to be compressed down to 33 inches in order to clear these narrow spaces. The complete process is described in the maintenance and repair manual that was shipped with the lift. The purpose of this video is to provide additional guidance and demonstrations of the compression process, and in no way should this be considered a substitute for the instructions in the maintenance and repair manual. If you have any questions at any point during the process, please refer to your maintenance and repair manual. The manual also includes additional warnings and instructions for safety that should be followed at all times. The following tools are required for the compression and expansion process. First, items that are included in the Ascension toolkit are a 1/8 inch hex key, 6 inch length, a 9/16 3/4 inch double open-end wrench, a Phillips screwdriver, a dead blow hammer, 2.5 pounds or more, a strap with ratcheting buckle, and a 60-inch long spreader tube or bar or 2x4 board. Also required for all members of the team expanding and compressing the lift are safety glasses. Ascension also recommends having a Sharpie, masking tape, and a tape measure on hand for convenience during the process. The first step in the process is to remove the lift from its casters, following the process described in the maintenance and repair manual. To do this, open up the machinery cabinet on the right-hand side of the lift. Inside, you'll find the handle for the hand pump clipped in a bracket. Use the handle and the hand pump to move the lift until it is about 15 inches off the ground, and it will take a number of strokes of the hand pump to do this. Once the lift has been raised 15 inches off the ground, remove the 4 casters from the corners of the lift. To do so, just grab the caster and pull straight down. Once removed, the casters can be stored in the machinery cabinet on the left-hand side of the lift. The next step of the process will be to remove the lift safety pans. If you haven't already done so, please put on your safety glasses and leave them on for the rest of the process. To remove the safety pans, take the 1/8 inch hex key that's included with your compression kit and remove the 4 shoulder screws that hold each pan onto the lift. Once both safety pans have been removed from the lift car, you'll need to remove the 2 safety pan bridges on either side of the rear safety pan. Be sure to retain all fasteners removed during this process. Before removing the safety pins, please be sure to unplug the lift and ensure that it is completely disconnected from power. Next, remove both pans from underneath the lift. The next step in the process will be to open both of the lift's gates. To open the front gate, which is normally held closed by the interlock, there are two options. The recommended method is to use the procedure described in the manual to manually override the front gate interlock. Alternately, you can connect the lift to power and touch the down switch to unlock the gate. Open the rear gate of the lift and use the hold open washer on the gate closer to hold the gate open. That's what I just did at the front gate, and I'll repeat the process here. The next step of the process is to remove the car floor from the lift. The first part of that will be to loosen one of the screws holding the footman loop, like this, on the underside of the gate so that we can detach the dock plate tether. Loosen the second screw, and then slide the tether off of the footman loop. The next step of the process is to remove the 6 Phillips head screws that secure the floor to the lift frame. The next part of the process is to remove the floor from the lift. For the purposes of this video, I've removed the rear gate stop strip to give us more clearance, but for normal disassembly, it's easiest simply to lift the floor slightly and move it straight out the back. We just don't have quite enough clearance in our filming space to do so. With the lift floor removed, the next step will be to remove the supporting cross members that go underneath the lift floor. As you can see, there are 4 separate telescoping members that across the front to back of the lift car, and then there are also 3 rigid supports that straddle the length and need to be removed on either side. In order to remove those, you'll want to use your 3/4 wrench that's part of the compression kit and remove a bolt from either side of each member. Before removing the lift cross members, be sure to label each cross member with an indication of where it is front to back in the lift and which side is which. As you may be able to see in this shot, I have labeled the front, middle, and back members with left and right indicated on each label as well. These will need to be put back in the same location and same orientation that they were originally installed in order to reinstall the lift floor after the lift has been compressed and re-expanded. With the car cross members removed, the next step will be to loosen the bolts that are tightening the telescopic members together. There are 14 bolts in all, and there are 2 located on each of the car cross members, as well as 2 located on each of the base cross members. The bolts don't need to be removed, just loosened enough that the tubes can slide inside one another. Once the bolts on the lift car telescoping cross members are loosened, the lift is ready to be compressed. The easiest way to do this is to use the strap included in the Ascension toolkit. To assemble the strap, insert the free end of the long strap through the slot in the ratcheting buckle and loop it back over itself. The assembly is now ready to ratchet. To set up the strap assembly, simply loop it around each of the lift's guide rails, the vertical columns that support the lift car, and hook the ends together and get the ratchet set up as we have shown. With the strap assembly set up around the lift's guide rails, simply use the ratchet to bring the sides of the lift car together. It may be necessary to disengage and reset the ratchet partway through. Be sure that the lift car's hydraulic hoses are brought up and out of the way while the lift is being compressed. It may be useful to use the dead blow hammer to bring the sides of the lift car together. Once the lift has been compressed and you've removed the strap from the base, go ahead and put the lift back on its casters in the same way that it was removed from them. In order to bring the lift down so that it gets completely on its casters, you'll first need to toggle the lift's directional valve, which is located behind the pressure gauge. Give it a quarter turn counterclockwise in order to set the directional valve to the down position. With the directional valve set down, operate the lift's hand pump as before to bring the lift all the way down and to pick up the base so that it's completely on its casters. Once the lift base has been raised completely, set the directional valve back into the up position and store the handle back in the cabinet. The lift is now completely compressed and portable, ready to be moved through a narrow space. Once the lift has been moved through the narrow location into the room where it's going to be set up, we'll next expand it back to its original width. As you can see, I've already raised the lift about 12 inches off the ground using the hand pump in the new location, and removed the casters and put them back in their storage cabinet. The way that this is most easily done is using the ratcheting strap and spreader bar assembly that you can see here to brace against one side of the lift and pull the other side of the lift away from it. We'll show you how to set that up in the next steps. The first step will be to use the spreader pole included with the compression kit and place it underneath the lift, butted up against one side of the base. The first step of the strap assembly is to bring the strap underneath the lift, over one of the car cross members, and back down, clipping it around itself. Once the strap is clipped around itself and securely fastened underneath the lift, you'll want to connect it to the ratchet mechanism as was done during the compression process. Clip this end of the strap assembly onto the end of the compression or the expansion tube and begin ratcheting. In this way, we will be able to pull this side of the lift car away from the other side where this expansion tube is braced. Once the strap and tube are set up, use the ratcheting mechanism to pull the sides of the lift apart. It may be necessary to use the dead blow hammer to knock the front part apart while the back is being held tight by this assembly. Again, it may be necessary to bring more of the strap through the ratchet mechanism once enough gets coiled around. Once the lift is approximately 48 inches wide on the outside dimension, start looking for the alignment marks that are placed on the base cross members. To align the base properly, make sure that each of the marks on the telescoping cross members are aligned with the mating tube. Once the lift base has been expanded to the correct width, as can be determined by the score marks on the base cross members, reinstall the car floor supports that were removed earlier, ensuring that each support goes in its original location and orientation. This is done so that the car floor can be installed on top of these, mating with its original screw holes. Now that the rigid cross members have been installed, tighten the bolts that cinch together all of the telescoping members. There are 14 in all, and it's the same ones that were loosened in the original step to compress the lift. Next, we'll reinstall the car floor in the lift. Again, we recommend bringing the car floor in through the rear of the lift as it will slide straight in, but due to space constraints in our filming area, we're going to bring it in through the front. If you've put the car flooring correctly and the cross members, the rigid cross members underneath it, the holes in the car floor should already align with holes in the cross members. And the next step will be to reattach those screws. With the lift car floor reinstalled with the 6 screws that hold it in place, the next step is to reinstall the strap that connects the dock plate to the rear gate. At this point, reclose the 2 lift gates by releasing the hold open washer on the closer for each gate. The next step will be to reinstall the lift safety pans, which are mounted underneath the lift. For this step, you'll want to have the lift car fairly high in the air, probably about 3 feet would be appropriate, in order to get the necessary clearances to maneuver the rear safety pan into place. Always exercise extreme caution when operating underneath the lift. Before installing the pans onto the lift, remember to reattach the 2 bridges on the rear pan. Lift the pans and install them with the help of a second person. With the safety pans reinstalled, pump the lift down to the lower landing. Reconnect the lift to power and press the down operating switch to unlock the front gate and allow it to close. At this point, you should confirm the correct operation of the lift using the operating switches before putting it into service. This completes the compression video for the Protege series wheelchair lift.